All right, we're now talking CONCACAF Nations League on the SportsMax Zone. Several teams played the second game of their campaign on Monday. Let's take a look now at those results. All right, so in League B, Curacao defeating St. Martin 4-0. Haiti 6 goals to win against St. Martin. 2-1 for St. Lucia against Grenada. Puerto Rico 1-0 against Aruba. Guadeloupe 1-0 win against Suriname. What about the 2-2 draw between Martinique and Guyana? And no goals in the draw between Guatemala and Costa Rica. All right, so those were the results. And in the meantime, interim head coach of the Soca Warriors, Derek King, is confident his side will bounce back from a bruising 4-0 defeat by Honduras on Friday. Well, the Trinbagonians will face the French Guyana in their second Group B game, which is set to begin at 6 p.m. Jamaica time, 7 ECT, live on SportsMax 2. And Coach King has expressed his confidence that his players will learn from the mistakes made against the Hondurans.
I think it's important, we did a video session, analyzing ourselves in the last game, and the players saw for themselves that they made some errors and simple errors. So at international football, you don't get away with some of the mistakes that you will make, himself in the local league and stuff. So I think, the guys, they will learn from their mistake. They're eager to go, and they know how important the 3 points is tomorrow, please God.
All right, team. So we are set to be joined by former Soca Warrior, Brent Sancho. But in the meantime, we want to talk about the Soca Warriors. They're getting ready for this match against French Guyana. And all I can think is they're going to want to bounce back from such a massive defeat. They have a caretaker coach with them, Derek King, and it's something that we need to take into consideration. He's been in the setup under Coach Angus Eves, so he's not very, very new to the squad, but of course still moving from that position into this head coach position, making all these decisions must be a lot of responsibility. Based on what we saw from the Soca Warriors against Honduras, Lance, what are some of the areas that you're hoping that, the team will improve on?
Well, they've got to be tighter. Coach Derek King just mentioned that you can't afford to make certain kinds of errors that result in goals quite often, but they could take some heart from the fact that for the first half an hour of the game they were pretty competitive. It was pretty tight up to that point, and they were carrying out the coach's instructions adequately up to that point, and even got a couple of opportunities to score. It's just that after they surrendered the first goal, things sort of went awry after that for them. But I think they could look very closely at what they did right in the first half an hour of that game against Honduras, and take heart from the fact that they do have the quality to be competitive against some of the best teams. Now, French Guiana aren't considered a top team in CONCACAF, so they should be able to get this job done.
Yeah, well, we're going to bring in the former Soca Warrior. He is a football analyst, but he's, going to talk from a former player standpoint this afternoon. Brent Sancho, happy to have you with us.
Yeah, Mariah, sorry, the volume is a bit low. I can't hear you quite clearly.
All right.
But hopefully you're hearing me. Yeah, just a quick one on the Soca Warriors. Of course, it's an important game tonight against French Guiana. As you would have mentioned, a disappointing result coming up against Honduras. The approach by the team was one that came into a lot of question here in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of the tactical approach and the way that the game went. Honduras have always been a difficult proposition for any team in the CONCACAF region, and that game in particular did have its struggles for the Island Republic. Particularly the middle of the park, we seem to be a bit short as it relates to numbers, as it relates to approach. We're very slow transitionally, defensively. And all in all, it was not the best of performance, particularly in a very hostile and difficult environment. And Honduras came away winners rightfully. And it certainly did put a dent in any of the Soca Warriors' hopes to move forward out of this group and into, of course, the Nations League finals.
Yeah, and Brent, are you hearing me clearly now?
Yes, I am.
All right, so of course the Soca Warriors would want to put that defeat behind them, especially the manner of defeat. They're getting ready now to play French Guiana. in Tobago at the Dwight York Stadium. You know, as Trinis, we have a lot of pride when it comes to football and sport. How do you think our coach is going to arrange the team? And, you know, are you expecting any major changes as they get ready to face French Guiana at the Dwight York Stadium in Tobago?
Yeah, from a footballing perspective, let's talk a little bit about on the pitch before, of course, we discuss some of the issues that we've heard over the last couple of hours off the pitch. On the pitch, I do expect to see a bit of a change in the approach. I do expect to see maybe a double pivot used in the middle of the park and a little bit more pragmatic approach, not saying that it won't be a front foot approach and being the aggressors and trying to, of course, have the lion's share of possession and try to pinch or pitch French Guiana backwards. But that being said, it's a French Guiana team that lost 1 goal to Nicaragua, a goal that scored very, very late. A game that Nicaragua dominated for the most part. So it's a game that Soca Warriors would expect to go out and win and get all 3 points. It's a difficult place, right? It must be noted that Tobago has not been a happy hunting ground for Trinidad and Tobago when it comes to World Cup football, when it comes to getting results. We had a loss there against Costa Rica, against Northern Ireland, against Haiti, and then I could go on and on, Nicaragua as well of recent memory.
Yeah.
It's not a place that they've gotten, but the hope is that the Dwight York Stadium that possibly could hold a capacity of 7,000 plus will be filled to the Raptors to give that 12-man support. But it has to be a positive approach by Trinidad and Tobago. Again, now going to the issues off the pitch, I was extremely disappointed to hear the news coming off about possible players not being happy. Firstly, Mariah, I was disappointed in the timing of the article. I do question the author of the article's intentions of putting out such a report hours before kickoff. I'm not suggesting in any way that those sorts of situations should be reported. I'm suggesting that the timing of it is not in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago football. You could just imagine what the players are going through, looking at each other, wondering who is the person that's talking and having those sorts of conversations. And it's really put preparation and entering into this game in a difficult situation.
Yeah, and Brent, from your information, do you think all the players are feeling that way? Or do you think that the players would much rather just focus on the football and leave the off-the-field issues right now?
It's not clear if it's a majority situation. I know there was a conversation even before this current executive came in that there were unpaid match fees. I think it must be understood, and having the ability of working with several associations up and down the region, that there's no team of my knowledge in the CFU that gets paid right after a game. Players get paid right after. A lot of it has to do with cash flow. A lot of it has to do with monies being, of course, put into the accounts from FIFA and the different types of FIFA grants that are sent throughout the year, and that does have some sort of impact on players being paid right after the game. I know in some associations, players have played probably 2, 3, 4 months later than the established date of the game that was played. But I think it must be noted, Mariah, that those sorts of things has a lot of dialogue and a lot of conversation between the players and the president, the executive, the management team, to make sure that all of those situations are alleviated. There's nothing that would suggest to me that those sorts of conversation was not had. So I was a bit surprised to see 1 or 2 players popping up in an article hours before a game discussing their disenchantment regarding payment to themselves for match fees.
Yeah, interesting, Brent, that you pointed out the intentions of, or pointed to the possible intentions of the writer of the article, but I do want to make the point that if there was a meeting, or if there were meetings and a potential strike was tabled, then it happened. And if the journalist has reported that, then he's only reporting something that took place or is taking place. Now, am I to take from what you are saying that you are suggesting that there will be no strike and the game will go ahead later today?
As far as I'm concerned, the team bus has left and the team is on its way to the game. My problem with the journalist is the timing of it. There's nothing even in the article and from what I understand, that suggests that a strike was even something that was being discussed. Again, I have no problem with those issues being ventilated by journalists and by persons reported. But I do question the timing. To have something like that on an article like that coming out hours before a game with not all the facts being identified, then I do have my questions rated and whether or not the intentions are genuine. And I think that's where my concerns are. Again, as I said, I have no problem with those sorts of stories being said, but I think in that sort of situation, you have to get all the facts and make sure everything is well documented, because as I am aware, the team is currently right now in the change room, probably in the field warming up as they speak, talking to persons in the camp and one or two of the players in the camp as well. And I just feel that something like that has to be properly put together before coming out, and certainly not coming out hours before such a critical clash between a clash that, of course, has a lot of meaning in it for Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, you know, Lance, Mariah, Brent, for me, no issues with timing necessarily, but if there are inaccuracies or if the information is not complete, then that's where I agree with Brent. But on the timing issue, I think I depart there.
Yeah. All right, Brent. Well, we want to thank you so much, as always, for your time and your expertise. I know you'll be wearing your red, white, and black later, and of course, singing "I'm a Soca Warrior." I hope we get the result that we are expecting, and I look forward to chatting with you again really, really soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
All right, Brent Sancho there. I mean, he represented us for the Soca Warriors in the red, white, and black. Also, former Minister of Sport in Trinidad and Tobago. We're taking a quick break, but a reminder, you can catch CONCACAF Nations League action on SportsMax, as that will be Trinidad and Tobago versus French Guyana on SportsMax 2. It's 6 in Jamaica, 7 ECT, and then Honduras, they play Jamaica at 9 if you're living in Jamaica, 10 ECT. You don't want to miss it.